Okay, we're going to get started. So I don't know if we want to start YouTube.
We'll turn on the YouTube, yeah. Just wait 3 seconds.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'd like to welcome you to our Office and Budget Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 24th. Today we are going to look at the fiscal year 24 budget and just kind of discuss where we ended up. We'll also look at the FY25 budget as well, to see what input or questions or thoughts we have about that budget as well. And then also do some old business and new business if there's anything that anyone wants to bring up that we discussed last time. So before we get started, does anyone have any questions on the agenda for today? No? Okay, so everyone received the documents? So there's 3 things that I think you got. 2 budget documents. So one is the fiscal year 24 closeout. So do you want me to share that on my screen, Florence, or do you have it up?
That's fine.
Okay, so you want to go through this?
Are you going to bring it up first? Should I wait for you to bring it up?
Yeah, I'm asking, do you want me to put it up?
Yeah, that's yes.
Okay.
I would think that would be terrific.
Okay. All right. Make sure I get the right one up. Okay. Okay. Everyone can see my screen? Okay. So this is fiscal year 24, which ended June 30th. So this report is as of 9/20. So I'm not sure who did the formatting for this, but I'm just trying to think of where to start.
Would you like me to give the detailed report?
Well, why don't we start with personnel, which is, I guess, the last page on this budget.
Wouldn't we start at the top of the page and work our way down to personnel from
I'm just saying, I don't know who did the formatting for this budget.
This
but
came from, so our office is not capable of printing this out. This budget comes from the city of New York, so it's an exact replica of what is printed by the city.
Okay.
So in budget code 100, there was $1,821. The bills were paid after July, so it does not reflect the spend. Printing supplies was $1,556. Again, it does not reflect the spend. Office services, $895. That remained. Instructional and office, $332. We don't use that code. We don't have that code.
Wait, hold on. Is everyone following this?
I'm going down. So I'm going down the center column, budget object code. So I will read each object code to you. And as I'm reading each object code to you, I will explain to you what the monies are. Are we together on that? Is everybody okay? Does anybody have any questions? You want to raise a hand? So I'm going to go back. 332, purchase of data processing. We did not make a purchase, so that money was $1,500. 40B, we have no control over. That money.
Hold on. We're looking at this page right now. So which page are you looking at?
I'm on the same page you are. I'm looking at the numbers on this page. I'm reading you the numbers from the center column. I'll start from the beginning again. I'm going to roll everything back.
Okay, the first thing says Staples office supplies.
Okay. I work with object codes. Is that okay? From the center column, object codes. Code 100. $1,821. Code 101, printing supplies, $1,556. We did not buy the helmets. That's why that money was left in that code.
I'm sorry, Florence,
Excuse
but
me, wait, I
the
don't have
numbers
that.
the
I have
numbers
a
that you're
different
reading-
number.
If you look on the screen, at the page on the screen,
Right.
code 100 is the first one. Code 101 is the second.
1,000. Oh, got it. Code 1,000.
100.
100, okay.
Code
three zeros.
100.
And you said eight.
Oh, on the side there, 1,803. Right?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Next to, it says $1,803.33.
Object
Okay.
code 100. So the chair just asked me to go down the list.
Right, but then your numbers weren't matching up.
Yeah, your numbers are not matching up what's on the screen.
Yes, they are.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes, they are. Budget code 100 is $1,803.33. It's absolutely matching up.
Right, but you went on to the other ones and they weren't matching.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, so that's for Staples office supplies. So we paid Staples 1803 and 33 cents for office supplies.
Yes.
Okay.
Then
you said
one,
there's
one
more due to pay that we haven't paid yet, if I heard you correctly.
I said that some monies were paid out in July. Some monies were paid out in July. Then code 101, there was a remainder of 1,946.77 because of the fact that we did not purchase the helmets. Then the general office equipment services, $2 was remaining. Then when you move down to purchase of data processing, there was $900 remaining. Contractual services, there was $1,000 remaining. That's code 400. And then you would have to move the paper down.
Okay,
Go to the next
so
screen.
no, let's just talk about each item. Okay, so staple office supplies. Okay, Bel Air Printing, what do they print?
We had asked them about printing helmets. So we had given them a quote for helmets and we were going to buy helmets. Instead, we switched off to the pens.
Okay, so that's for pens, $1,900 worth of pens.
That was because we wanted to spend.
I understand. I just want to know what it was for. That's all. Okay. All right. Okay, $2.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
But you said that 1946.77 is not spent?
It's not spent. These dollar amounts are not spent.
Yeah, so these are not actual budget numbers. These are remaining to be spent.
Yeah, we're doing the closeout for 2024. This is the closeout for 2024. These are the remaining dollar amounts in the budget at the end of the fiscal year in 2024.
Okay.
I was asked to provide the closeout. This is the closeout.
Okay, I asked you to provide what we spent in 2024 also.
No, I have the email. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. I
Okay.
can come back to you with those dollar amounts. The budget does not display that way. The last meeting we had displayed the spent money.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay,
So
purchase
can I
of
say
data.
something? Hi, everybody. Sorry for coming in a little bit late. This is Corinne. Can I say something? To be clear and to be fair, how can you deliver both reports simultaneously? You would have to do those separately. The closeout and what you're asking, Evie, you would have to do those separately. You would not be able to deliver in this platform at the same time. That would be a part of two different reports, correct?
Not, it depends how the reports are set up. Usually you can run a report so that you know what you've spent through a certain point and then you see whatever accruals or amounts.
Yeah, but I looked at this before and that's not the way this is set up. So
That's not the way this is set up. Is
if
correct.
this is the form that you're showing, then that can't be what you're asking for. That's the only thing that I'm saying.
That's
in all
fine.
fairness.
I don't know if it's fair or not. I'm just saying it's.
No, I mean in all fairness, that's a terminology.
Yeah.
That's just a term. In all fairness to what we're talking about, and my understanding, as I'm listening to everybody say what they're asking for, that's two different asks. So based on what the document is presenting, is representing, that's one ask. So if the ask was for two things, this document is not representing the
Yes,
two things, correct?
correct.
All right,
Right.
that's all I wanted to, all right. So we having a clear communication.
So
Thank
my understanding was from your email, you wanted the closeout budget for 2024, which this is, and you wanted the 2025 budget for the projection.
Okay, let's just keep going then, and we'll have to just total it and see how much was spent.
It's at the bottom of the document.
Let's keep going.
Okay, so we need to go to the next page.
Well, does anyone have any questions about any of these expenses?
What are they?
It's clarified in blue writing on the documents you received. Code 100 is Staples. Code 101 is Bel Air Printing. Code 300 is Office Services, general equipment for the office, which is $2. Then you go down to code 332, which is purchase of data processing. That's $900. Contractual services, office services is $1,000.
Okay, so what is purchase of data processing?
It would be something like Adobe, which I did not buy. I did not use that money.
Okay,
I have Adobe already.
okay, and then contractual office services, was that any
I
specific
didn't
purpose?
need anything from that code, so I didn't use it. So realize last year we had 3 separate budget cuts. So all the boards ran very conservatively because money was given back at different sectors during the year. So nobody knew from one minute to another how much money would remain in the budget and how much more money would be cut. Some boards were actually looking at laying off people. But because we have the cushion with code 200 and because I run conservatively, we never had those concerns. I would sooner give back.
I didn't think they were cutting personnel from city agencies, but
They weren't cutting personnel, they were cutting budgets. And some boards did not have enough money in their budgets for their employees. It wasn't that they weren't cutting personnel, they were cutting money.
okay, let's go on to the next page.
Telecommunications is the City of New York Code 40B. That's the City of New York. It's either them leaving money over from the rent, which is I highly doubt. It's probably the phone bill. Rental equipment 412. So we have under that code that is Pitney Bowes, Xerox, and the water, which we returned. We don't have the water anymore. I gave back the Nestle water, so we don't have it anymore. Advertising for the Gazette. This money I am at a discrepancy with because I believe that this money was spent. They said that we gave back $1,175, but bills were paid late, and I don't think it's showing in this report. I would argue that amount. Other expenditures or holdings, $8. I have nothing to do with that. I don't know what that is. Oh, I'm wrong. Pardon me. Please forgive me. That's the holding code. So when all the money comes into the community board at the beginning of the budget year, everything goes into 499. Then all the money is put into each code for each of the bills. There was $8 left in the holding code. General contractual services, that money, 1,130.83 was left over from Mark. We had several canceled committee meetings. So due to the fact that the meetings were canceled, we did not have to pay him. So that money was remaining from Mark's quote.
So what is actually, since we're talking about that, like what is it would be good for us to know like what the agreement is with
I'll
them.
give it to you right now. Hold one moment, please.
I mean, you can send it later. It's okay. I'm just saying.
I
like,
can read it to you right now. I have it here. I just have to turn to the proper page. Oh, geez. Are you kidding me? Agency. Maybe they're stuck together. I'll send it to you later. I thought I had it here. It should have been
Okay.
printed out. I don't see it.
Okay, thank you.
Figures. It's roughly $7,000 for round numbers. So I think it's like $6,988 or something like. But for round numbers, it's 7,000 per year. And then if we have additional meetings, then we have to add money to the budget. And if we have less money, less meetings, we get reimbursed at the end of the year.
So that's based on how many, I mean, again, you can send the information, but
It's
like,
per meeting. It's
right.
per meeting.
So how many meetings do we estimate?
Whatever's on our calendar on the website. What we have on our website. I don't have the actual number in front of me. The page wasn't printed out.
Okay, well, when you have a chance, you can send that. Okay. I'll keep, okay, and then there's the 56,847. That's from the street fair.
I'm not with you. Where are you? Oh, general
What's that from?
code 2000, code 2000. Yes, that's a street fair. That was last year's amount at the end of the year before the check was deposited.
Okay. Go to the next page.
Okay, so now we're on code 684. That was services by DFNA. That was projected purchase with the server, which we didn't have to make because we decided to go into the cloud, so we did not spend that money. So the total give back from OTPS was $11,338.91. The rollover amount was $56,847. That money remains in our budget. Code 2000 is the code for the street fair. So the two combined amounts were 68, which is not actually the case, because 56 stays with us.
Okay, and you also think a bill was paid that's not reflected on here?
Yes, I'm pretty confident of that.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. I don't know, does anyone have any questions on that?
So other than personal services, so this is broken down into several different piles, but the payroll for the office is not done by the office. And the situation is that the computer pulls the money from wherever it needs to pull the money from to make payment. The main numbers that you would look at here are the remainder, and it says the actual available balance was $66,549. But again, I don't believe that to be accurate because we pulled all the money out of there for the gifts that we purchased. So if you move to the next page and you go down, you'll see the projected money of 41,34564. That's more accurate.
Okay, let's just look at this a second. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this? So you're saying the amount that they put here for the uncommitted balance is incorrect?
I think it's the last page that is the accurate because it's total projected agency surplus, which is what you're interested in. The money after everything has been paid till July 1st, which would be 41,34564. And of that money, we had a credit because the water bottles did not arrive on time. So they did not charge us close to $4,000 for the water bottles. It would have been less had the water bottles arrive before July 1st, but they did not.
Okay, so just to refresh people's memory, at our last meeting that we had in June, we had a surplus of over $50,000. So we worked to try and spend down what we could, which we only had a few days that we didn't know at the time. And we got backpacks, water bottles, lunch kits, pens. A lot of stuff went to our NYCHA campuses, and we also have some giveaways that we used for tabling. And I'm assuming still have some left over. Okay, so we have some hands up. I'm going to start with the committee first. Marie?
I just had a question, and I think we had to discuss this at a meeting. I thought we were, just as you pointed out, we're trying to spend that money. I understood it was to go to microphones.
That was one of the things we were also
We
supposed to
did.
get.
We did do
Okay, I'm just
microphones.
curious. So did that go in, Florence?
Yeah,
Is it anywhere here?
no, you won't see it. It's not broken down that way. They don't show each line item purchase on the city budget. They only show the dollar amounts in the code.
Okay, so how much were the microphones, and was it taken out of the fiscal year 24 budget?
Yes, it was taken out of the fiscal year 24 budget. I didn't realize you were going to hone in on each individual dollar
No,
amount.
no, I'm just curious in the midst of all these numbers where that would be. So it's included in the fact that we only have, oh, I shouldn't use the word only. The surplus now is 41,345.64.
And the reason is because we were hiring and I didn't spend
Yeah,
down.
yeah, fine. So,
Yeah.
but the mics are taken care of.
Everything's taken care of, yes.
So that surplus does not include the mics.
No.
Because, okay, that's all. Thank
Did
you.
we bring those mics? Were they at the meeting on?
Yes, these were the ones that we had.
Okay. Tom?
I'm puzzled and confused. This is my forte. So we had a surplus, initial surplus of 56, and we have it down to 41. I'm just rounding.
Yes.
And there's nothing we can do to claim that money?
Picking up.
So, who's on 646? I'm going to mute you, please. The money at the end of the budget year is closed due to the fact that we were hiring, did not look to spend. I was out for 4 months from October till January with a broken leg. When I came back in January, we had received our new chair. We were pursuing hiring somebody. Had I not pursued hiring somebody, the money would have been spent sooner. Because of the fact we were pursuing hiring somebody, the money was left in the code. Having the money given back to the city when the city is in a fiscal crisis is not a problem. It does not hurt our budget. This year's budget is no less because we gave back 41. It's the budget that every other community board gets. It's equal to. The situation was we were hiring, and then at the 10th hour, the board came in and asked for this money to be spent, which is not the norm in 17 years I've been here. But I
don't think it's the norm to have over $50,000 left to spend.
There are boards that have more than that because they only.
We're focusing on us, though. We're going to focus on us.
But may I share? Because you say it's not the norm, but normally this doesn't happen really, but there are other boards that have one employee and they're giving a heck of a lot more than that back. So we're moderate compared to what's going on in the city. We're not high and we're not low. We're just, we're moderate. And again, the only reason is because we were looking to hire.
That vacancy was from the prior.
And how long are we looking to fill that?
Pardon?
How long was this vacancy going on?
I think she left in maybe September of last year. She became ill. It was a little complicated because we had union employees, so we had to go through proper protocol. But eventually she quit.
I believe it was over the summer, but
By the
anyway,
time the
it was
people were
several, it was vacant for
a period of time.
from September, let's just say, to August.
A year.
Yeah.
Understand, I broke my leg in October, so.
Okay. Tom, did you still have any other questions or?
I'm
Yeah.
still puzzled, but you can move on.
Okay. We can always follow up with additional questions. Okay. So right now there's a projected agency surplus of, for fiscal year 24, 41,345.
Correct.
But as far as you know, all the bills have been paid.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So these are, I
Those
had
are the
asked for the
codes for each
vendors and a
vendor.
breakdown of what we're paying each vendor as well. So do you want to go through these?
So the best way to do it is to go through a fiscal year 2025. Move to the next page, fiscal year 2025, and everything is displayed.
Okay, but I'm just.
Those are the detail object codes.
Mhm.
Those are the codes for each vendor. You asked me to tell you about each vendor. So Nestle
Right, and
Water
right, and
4120,
I
Staples
asked,
code,
right, I asked you how much we're paying for each vendor as well.
and that is on fiscal year 25's report.
Okay. All right, but these are the vendor customer codes that we're using. So everybody
And you
got
drop
this.
for laymen and civilians, you drop the last zero. So you have to go to 9/12/2024, fiscal year 25.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. Give me a sec.
Now, these are projections based on the fact that we don't know if we're getting budget cuts. Also, these are projections on the baseline services for the office. So as the year goes on up until January, everything is very fluid. Right now, we have allotted for Staples $1,821. For printing supplies, we have $1,556. For general office equipment, we have allotted $895. For data processing office supplies, we have $1,500. For telecommunications, we have $3,169. For office rental equipment, we have $1,404. For advertising, we have $1,275. If you follow the lines down, like it'll tell you the Gazette and the Astoria Post, so on and so forth. For code 499, which is a holding code, we have $1,000, which is allotted every year by Julie Wan. That money is usually used for lunch boxes given back to the council person. And adjacent to the 1,000, we now have $70,777 in the code 2000, which is from the street fairs. Telecommunication maintenance, we have $400.39. Repairs for general contract, code 602, we have $700. Professional services, we have code 624, $4,000. Other services, meaning Harish Studios and Vaughn Agency, we have $6,700. And then when you come to the bottom line, the total for all the vendors is $22,520.39 in code 1000. In code 1001 from Julie Wan, we have $1,000. And in code 2000, which is the rollover code, we have $70,777.
I have a question.
Yes,
Yes.
Quinella.
Okay, so any of these forms, any of these codes, like 600 and what 612, I think it is. I really can't see it. It's like, oh yeah, 612. So
Yep.
any of those codes that you don't see a dollar amount, we don't have any money in those budgets, right?
No, I'm not using those now, but there's nothing to say that, for example, my fax machine, we also use it as a copy machine. I keep it as a backup if the Xerox breaks. If the fax machine were to go down, I might have to put money in for 612 to have the repair done on the fax machine, for example.
Okay, because the reason why I'm asking is because it's probably a better way to capture if some of these codes were removed and things were done like on Excel to make it a little easier. And then it also give a description, but let me finish one
Yeah,
and
I
also give a
apologize.
description, also give a description of what, items are being purchased for each one of these lines.
So that's what the first column is. The first column tells you what is being purchased. Quinella, please forgive me. I've been here 17 years. We never had to do this, so I'm learning a new way now. I'm working with this committee. This is the format that the City of New York uses for office and budget for this document. I am being completely transparent. You are getting the government documents. I have never printed up an Excel report. This is only the third time I'm doing this, and I've given this exact document each time because of the fact it's 100% accurate. You don't risk transposing wrong information.
No, the reason why I'm asking, no, I get what you're saying, but it would just make it a little bit easier if you had like a column with just a description of what these things are used for, like certain codes can only be used to purchase these particular items.
Yes,
it would just make it a lot easier.
Everything you're reading is exactly what they can be used to purchase. So
No.
supplies and materials is Staples office supplies. Printing supplies is Bel Air printing. General office equipment is general office equipment.
Right, but it doesn't, Florence, I think Quinella's point is it doesn't tell us, it's printing, so it's for,
but I'm not
helmets, or it's for this
like
or
what
that.
type of printing? Because when I look at it, and forgive me too, if I'm looking at Staples and then I'm looking at Bel Air printing, like what's the difference? Because
pens, pencils.
You could print and you could buy pencils and all those things at Staples. So it must be where these codes can only be used to purchase certain items, right?
No.
Okay.
It's various items and different vendors. So if I wanted to buy pens from Bel Air Printing that said Community Board 1 Queens, I could buy them from Bel Air Printing. I could buy them from Staples too, but I choose to use Bel Air Printing because they make our envelopes. They're a small hometown Queens business. So rather than use a box store, I'll give the business to Bel Air to print the indelible pens. Or what else have I had them print? I had them print door signs for our office, community board. I mean, you're getting in the weeds with this. I mean, I'm going to start listing pens, pencils, markers.
No, I'm asking because
I have a question. This is Corinne.
Well,
I have a question.
I'm
Forgive me.
asking
Guys,
just
one at a
in
time,
case
please. I'm getting a headache.
you would like to, just put a description next to each one of the budget codes. Just give a description of what you're purchasing. It would just make it easier for people that are on the to understand.
I'll be happy to do that. But at this time, right now,
right.
For example, I haven't purchased anything from Staples. I haven't done any printing yet. Most of this stuff is going to start getting really hot and active in January. When we come back from July, when you are on hiatus, we're doing all the clerical work preparing for you, and then we come right into capital expense, and we have an insane amount of committee meetings. So some of the bills, like the the Gazette and Astoria Post are getting paid and Xerox is getting paid. I'm having a problem with Pitney Bowes. They're not sending me the quote that I have to have. We got a new machine in the office and they haven't sent the quote. And we can't make a purchase order until we upload the quote. So that's not on here. But again, to me, you're getting in the weeds with this. This is the money accrued at the beginning of the year. We haven't really spent that much yet. And the real telltale will be around January, and that's when we start spending the money hard. Provided I don't break the leg again.
Amy.
Thanks. Florence, just looking at the code for 624 cleaning services.
Yes.
The column says 400, and I thought I heard you say 4,000. So
if I misspoke, it's 400. I could have
It's
misread
400,
the
okay.
number. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
And it's-
400.
and that's for the whole year?
We don't have cleaning services. Our office has a cleaning staff. At some point, that money will get moved and we will not be using it. I may put it into Staples if I need more paper or something. This is beginning of year money allocated by the city.
So it's maybe not for services, but for supplies or something.
No,
Okay.
it's for services, but we don't have services. So later on, this money will be rotated to another code. So it's very possible I'll run out of money in Staples for paper or pens or ink or toner, because toner is very expensive. So I'll move that money out of that code and I'll put it into Staples, for example.
Okay, just reallocating. Got it.
Yeah,
So just to clarify, the city put $400
yes,
for the services, cleaning services,
yes,
based on what was in there the prior year?
yes, because I haven't been using it. It used to be somewhere around 1,000, but we don't hire anybody. We have a cleaning service that's in our lease in the building.
Okay. Amy, did you have any other
Nope, sorry.
questions? Okay. Sean, as I'm gonna go to Corinne because she's on the committee, okay? Go ahead, Corinne.
For the sake of translation, Florence, I would like to ask, do you have the ability to use your own discretion for what type of formatting you use? Or are you only allowed to use the formatting given to you? And that's because I think what I think I heard was, if it was an Excel sheet, it would be more comprehensive what, where, and how you're listing it and how it's listed, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard the same thing, Corinne. It's aesthetics. This is the exact report from the city of New York, lifted and put it onto this document. It's lifted from the city's report and placed exactly the way the city report looks. This is what I'm familiar with. Unfortunately, in the past, I never had to do these reports. So what you're asking for is probably a possibility, but I'm not experienced in it, but I can learn very quickly if I have to. The thing is, my fear is transposing it from here to the to the Excel document. I mean, I could put in a grid on this if it's more comprehensive and provide it this way. But this is the actual report from the city of New York in being completely transparent. And I mean, the timeline, I asked Evie, I asked Madam Chair if we could wait on this. We're in the middle of capital expense and money hasn't really been spent. So this is a fruitless proposition. Come November, it would have been easier to have time to work on this because we're allocating a style that everybody's asking for and such. Whereas now the focus is getting the capital expense done. And as I said, this is the actual report.
I think you're kind of conflating the issues there, but
Wait,
anyway,
I
the
don't know
city
what you
did provide a budget.
I don't understand what you mean. Can you please explain that to me?
What I'm saying is the city did provide a budget, and we've had that budget since the summer. So we just wanted to review it. And you had said that there was
But what I'm saying is the style of formatting,
Mhm.
Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, Corinne, did you have another question?
No, I don't feel like that question was answered. So was that a yes or a no? If we wanted to change it, is it prohibited or can it be done? And is the answer yes, it can be
It's a
done?
lot of extra work to do. It can be done, yes.
Oh,
It's a
sure.
lot of
Thank you.
extra work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Marie.
So Florence, I think you don't remember, but we did do it in an Excel format one year. And I'd be more than happy to help you.
No, we didn't. We did.
No, I have it. I still have it.
The
I'd be
one
happy
that
to help you.
Waste some time here.
Madam Chair,
And I
former,
think Tom could help you too.
former Madam Chair, what I did last time was I was able to format it on the document from the screen with the
Okay,
Excel graph.
Florence, I'm just offering my assistance. I'd be happy
Sure.
to
Thank you.
take the numbers and hopefully
Absolutely.
not write them down incorrectly in an Excel
Absolutely.
spreadsheet. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Marie.
Absolutely.
Okay, Shahnaz, I'll let you ask a question. even though you're not
Thank
on the
you.
committee. Yeah,
I always have a lot, but now I remember few.
go ahead.
Okay, first I see 22,520.39 cent. Is the remaining budget since start July for OTBS, not personal line.
That's how much money that we have allocated to spend right now. That's what I'm projecting that I'm going to need to spend, but that money will change by January. It'll be more than that.
What do you mean will be changed by January?
So for example, I lowballed Staples. What's in Staples right now is a small amount. So by January, we'll need more toner, we'll need more ink, we'll need more paper. So those things will come out of the remaining money. So the money will be moved. So for example, I may go to PS and have to move money from PS down to OTPS. PS is personal services and OTPS is other than personal services. So if I don't have enough money in code 499, which I do not, I'm going to need to move money in order to buy other supplies. If a machine breaks or if the Pitney Bowes machine needs ink, those things are things that will come up later on in the year.
So what's the total? Oh, sorry, Shahnaz, go ahead.
You allowed to touch the personal line, like to move from personal to this strict line. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to hire now. I have help wanted ads out. I have two possibilities, but unfortunately they don't speak multiple languages. I'm still waiting to try to find some. I'm being patient to try to find somebody who speaks multiple languages.
Okay. Do you have a projection for the spend down, like for the year? Like, because
No, it's way too soon. That usually happens in January.
Okay, because I see last year, I don't know the last meeting, but for instance, I see this meeting, we returned 11,000 something.
That's what I normally do.
Yeah, but I believe if we have projection, we're not going to return because we know what we can spend. Like if, like example, I hear about backpacks. If we have 11,000, I saw the backpacks when I was in the NISHA event because I is the seniors. But the backpacks, it wasn't cheap. If we have 11,000, we're going to turn it. Why we didn't get the really nice backpack for the kids?
Because we got so many. We got a large amount. We got every single NYCHA development got over 100 backpacks, 100 lunch boxes, and 100 water bottles. We also got hand sanitizer and ink reduced pens. So we spread it out. Plus, we're only allowed to spend up to $19,999 with one vendor. The reason the money was held was because I had two open positions, Shahanazah. I was going to hire two people. So what happened was the person who was supposed to come on board, the city did not process the first one fast enough, so they came on late. And now I'm looking for the second person, and we want somebody bilingual in the office. I have a couple of resumes, but they're not bilingual, so I haven't been able to take action. They're willing to wait, so I'm holding off to see if we can get bilingual employees.
I think to Shahnaz's point is that there was money last year and just a better quality backpack would have been.
We couldn't spend it with the vendor because the amount of money that we spent with the vendor, we wouldn't have been able to give everybody equal amounts if we would have spent more money on.
Well, there's definitely more than one vendor that does backpacks, and next year we'll plan that out more in advance because it
We
was very
won't be
last
able,
minute.
if everything goes properly, we won't be able to buy backpacks next year.
Okay, so right now we have 22,520 allocated for OTPS. What's the total amount of OTPS that we have that we can spend?
There is none.
No.
There is no total amount that we can spend. I can spend whatever is available to spend up
So we don't have an
until,
unlimited budget. We
no,
get
we have 200, we have 200 and, I think it's 280. Hold a minute. Top of the page. Oh, I can't move your page.
some of that gets allocated for personnel. That's a
Yeah.
fixed amount
Yeah, and
that we get put into our
But
budget. And
it's
then the
not,
rest,
it's not fixed because if there's a remaining amount in PS, we can move it down to OTPS.
correct. But when we get our budget, it's the amount. You said every board gets the same amount.
Yes, within dollars, depending on the DM
Okay. So
salary.
what is our OTPS budget amount for FY25? Not what we've kind of allocated so far in this spreadsheet, but what's our total amount that we have to spend for OTPS?
Our total committed amount is 22,52039.
To here.
Exactly,
Committed as of now.
as of now, but
But what I'm
that's.
saying is, how much can we potentially spend in OTPS based on the city allocation? Because I got a number of 46,270
I don't know where you got that number from, but it very much matters on whether we hire another part-timer or not. Because I can move all of the remainder, which is approximately, it looks like 50,000 PS projected available balance, 50,028.29. So with that projected amount, depending on whom we hire, whatever remainder is left over will be towards office supplies.
So when the city gives you the budget, there's an amount that's put for personnel
Yes,
and there's an amount for OTPS. This is
yes,
before you move things around.
yes.
So what's the number for personnel and what's the number for OTPS before you start plugging things in and moving things around?
It doesn't work like that. They give it to me plugged in. I've said that several times.
Yes.
They give it to us
I
plugged
got it to
in.
see here. First of all, we'll look at OTPS. Right now, we're budgeted 22,520.39.
Correct.
Correct.
End of story. Now let's move to PS.
204,000.
Can we move the sheet down? I can. I'm still looking at PS, OTPS. Okay.
204,365.35.
Where are you getting that figure from? I'm not looking. I'm
Top
seeing
of the page.
top of the page.
Oh, you got to go another page. You're on the wrong page. Right there. 204,365.35.
I don't see that number. Oh, 203.
Right on the top, total uncommitted balance.
All right, so
That's
that's
before payroll is
right.
done.
so right now for PS we have 204,365.35.
Correct. And then when you
Right.
look at the
Yes,
breakdown,
let's stop interrupting. And we have 22 for OTPS. So our total budget somewhere in the vicinity of 226,000.
correct.
Right. So why we keep talking about the same thing? That's
Don't
what we
know.
have. So our budget's 226 and change. The 22 is OTPS and 204 is PS.
Correct.
Right. Now, that's our budget as of right now. Right?
Correct.
Right. So we're just going round and round and round.
Yes.
We need to have this started July 1st. You said you haven't spent much and we haven't done any budget mods, correct?
No, I did budget mods for some of the things like Harish Studios. I had put more money in because they didn't allocate enough money.
said- So the numbers you're giving us are not the current numbers.
Yes, they are. These are with the mods
Oh.
done.
it can't be both. Either we have the budget change or you made budget mods and the difference.
This is as of the date on the top of the page, 9/12/2024. In July, when the budget comes in set, all district managers allocate each of the vendors the money they need. So I put Harish Studios money in,
I
I put
understand you
in
keep
Staples,
repeating the same thing over again. I understand that. I think we all
but that's
understand.
the way it is.
Yes, and you keep regurgitating. The thing is, the figures you have in this column were the original budget numbers or now the most current numbers as September?
They're the most current numbers as of 9/12/2024, as the
Okay.
document claims.
You don't have to explain. Stop explaining. So these are figures of 9/12/24. So this is as current as we can get. Of that total budget, how much have we spent so far for this year? Approximately.
A few, when I say a few, maybe 3,000.
3,000. So out of the
Not even,
226,
it's less than that. A couple of newspaper ads were paid
now
for.
the only thing we don't have is what do we have allocated for this new hire?
It depends on how many hours I'm having. I have 2 people who are willing to work 5 days a week. Most people do not want to work 5 days a week, and that's where I'm running into a problem.
Well, what do we have budget for that position? We have one position,
I'm estimating around 35,000-40,000.
35, 40,000.
35, closer to 35 probably.
And that's if they're hired as of October 1st?
Part-time. Community service aid, part-time.
I understand that. But that's for the remainder of the year because they haven't hired. So 35,000 will go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ballpark. And we have to allocate side because the city is giving union raises again in May. So that's what this highlighted column, it's an approximate estimation for 5,000 for May and June. It could be a little more, it could be a little less. So that's why it says 50,028. And again, we don't know if we're going to get budget cuts. If budget cuts
We
occur,
can't keep thinking about something we don't know about.
you have to be prepared for it every
Yes,
year.
we have to. That's why you have budget modifications. Let's get the budget squared up to what it is today. What happens in the future, we have no control over. So let's budget accordingly. So these are the current budget figures. We need to hire somebody. And if we get a cut, at that time we do a budget modification. So
Just a clarification on the part-time person and the 35,000. That's annual or prorated from when?
It's a ballpark estimate.
But again, is it for what we would pay in a year, or is it, say, starting in October?
In a year.
Okay, so then for this year's budget, it wouldn't be 35,000. It would be prorated at whatever it is.
Yes.
9 months, 8 months.
Yes, every month it would change. Yes. As is.
So, okay, so we know for sure we're not going to spend that full amount this year.
what?
So can I ask a question? What are we looking for? What is the end question?
The end question is for all of us to understand kind of where the expenses are allocated, where they're going, to avoid giving back, $50,000 again, regardless of whether we hire someone or not. We are allocated these resources and we want to spend them. And we want to avoid a situation where, as last year, we were unaware of the large accruals that were happening throughout the year and how much money there was going to be left in the budget. And we want to be able to
What
use
accruals?
those funds.
I don't follow you. What large accruals were done last year?
I'm talking accruals like through vacancies over the course of the year or through not spending OTPS, those kinds of accruals. I don't mean accruals that you pay out after.
But quite frankly, it was uncontrollable because of the circumstances. It was an unfortunate, it was a once in because of the circumstances.
Okay. All right. Marie, you have a question?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm reading this that you highlighted, Florence, the PS projected available balance.
Yes,
would be 50,000 something.
yes, ballpark.
This does not include the new hire, does it?
No, absolutely not.
So if we hired somebody, and I'm going to round numbers for 30,000, the
It would come
available
out of
balance,
that. Yes,
what? It would
it
be
would come out
20,
of that.
then it would be 20,000.
20,000. But then keep in mind that you're going to have to buy toners and ink.
No,
and
I'm talking
paper.
just PS, personnel,
Yes, that money will
just
come out.
personnel.
The remaining balance comes out of that and gets moved down to OTPS. So for
Okay.
example, last year, I think the
So,
budget.
wait. In my logical mind, technically, not that we're gonna do it. As of today, you have 50,000 something. You could technically hire somebody for 50,000.
Yes,
I'm not saying we would.
no,
Okay. You could though, because you
Yeah.
have 50,000.
yes.
Okay, so my question is, and I'm gonna pose this to Evie. I think that maybe pick a month. December is a time to see where we're at for sure.
No, January, Marie.
Oh, all right,
after
December,
January
January.
1st. January 1st, not in December.
To see where we are and if we haven't hired and if we're moving money. What do you think, Evie?
December 15th is
Correct.
the ideal time.
All right, we'll have to do that because otherwise we're gonna end up where we ended up
Yes.
last year.
And there's really, if we're
I just
not,
wanted to be sure of the numbers.
right, and there's plenty of people looking for work. So if we're having trouble hiring, then we need to rethink our strategy and perhaps,
I
Yeah,
have to be
fill that
comfortable
position.
with whomever comes into the office. They have to be not only bilingual, but they have to have the skills to be able to handle the job.
course, of
And
course.
the two have not come together since the first hire. I'm sincerely hoping they will come together, but my goal is to find the right fit. I found two people I'm very happy with. One you won't be happy with, but I think that they're highly professional. The
okay.
other one, the item is going to be the fact that they're very well versed in everything, but they're not bilingual. The one is an ideal candidate.
We
but
need to have someone
not
Spanish speaking in the office. That was something that we asked for before, and
I've always had somebody Spanish in the office. I've actually had two Hispanic
yeah,
speaking.
I'm saying that's why we need someone.
I'm
'cause-
looking at Spanish, I'm looking at Cantonese, and I'm looking at either Urdu or oh geez, I forgot the other language. I had a brain freeze.
Doesn't Dustin speak Urdu? I thought he did, but
Not fluently.
okay. Tom, and then Amin.
First of all, if we can't, I don't know what's taking so long to find a bilingual person. If we can find a bilingual person, you have a good candidate, good for everything else, that person should be hired. We already finished the first.
I'm ready to hire them. I just haven't presented them because I know that the chair is not going to be comfortable with
Well,
my
the chair can decide about that later.
Tom, we can do more outreach. I
No,
haven't seen any
I know,
resumes
but
or been
we've
given
been
any
talking about this
information.
for-
So.
I see the.
I haven't turned them here because you won't like them.
Okay, Florence. All right, go ahead, Tom.
Right.
Why?
We, guys, I'm speaking. We need to get a person in. If the person's competent and can speak a second language, you know what you do? We can hire a translation service. We have enough money for any of these things, just like the city provides a translator. But to hold it up, get in the same situation we're again, already October 1st is right around the corner. Let's hire the best candidate we can find. If they don't, we can't find a bilingual person, let's budget for translation services. That's what I use in my office. Someone can't speak English, I have someone I can call and they can translate.
The city provides translation services already. We don't have to hire anybody to pay.
I understand. So then we should
Okay,
be,
you know what? Thanks, Tom, for the suggestion. I'm saying we have not done extensive outreach to actually try and get candidates. And again, this is the first I'm hearing that now we have two candidates.
We are at St. John's University. We are at Queens College. We are at LaGuardia College, St. John's. We
Yeah,
are
okay.
at York College. We are in the Astoria Post and all of their papers, and we are in the Queens Gazette.
why are
We
we
haven't posted
using,
on the actual city website. There's a
Yes,
city
it is.
website.
Yes, it is.
No,
I understand that the Queensborough President's Office put it throughout the city for us.
okay, that's not what you said before, but anyway.
That was the last
Did
time.
you have
That's
another
not
question?
this time. That was the last time. That's not this time. I asked Suzanne this time to put it through the city.
I mean,
She does something where she puts it through the city, and I asked her to do that.
okay, I can
That
go
was
to
the
your
last
city
time.
website and see if it's there.
I don't know if it's the city website. She puts it through the city. I'll find out what she does, and I'll let you know
Okay,
either tomorrow or the next day. She's not in every day.
Can we get a target date for hiring?
I would hire one of the two people I have already if the chair would entertain a non-Spanish speaking person.
okay, we're not going to have the discussion now. All right, because first of all, you haven't even sent me any resumes, information, even mentioned that
I
there
haven't
were
because
candidates.
again, I
So
haven't.
anyway,
again,
let's just
I
keep
haven't-
going. Stick to the
I
budget right
haven't
now.
because
But we
they
do want to
aren't
hire.
bilingual.
We absolutely want to hire.
Amin Mahedi has his hand up.
Tom, did you have any other questions?
Um, we kicked the can down the street in 24. Now we're in 25. And I think we're going to have a repeat performance here. We don't make a decision quickly. If we have a good enough candidate, I think that's fine.
I've seen, like I said, I've seen
I understand,
nothing,
but
and
we're getting we're only advertising in the select area. We're not going out to the general public. We're not doing a lot of things to get this person in place. And we can
Correct.
talk about it all we want, but it's time to, you know what, I'll get off the pot. So,
You're right. We haven't really done extensive outreach, so
well, we need to budget that time frame and say this is the drop dead date.
Mhm.
So,
okay. Amin, did you have a question?
Good evening, everyone. This is my first time attending the budget meeting. I had a question, like, Florence, do we really need that person now, or can we use that money to any other sector instead of returning money?
With all of the committee meetings that are coming up and the additional changes that the new chair is making, we absolutely could use another set of hands in the office. Our committee meetings have doubled. We now have agendas being proofread and the agendas are being touched 3 and 4 times. There are a lot of changes that are requiring a lot of extra work. So we could absolutely use a second set of hands that is capable of doing the kind of work that needs to be done. We've had candidates come into the office, they say they can use Excel, and then we show them a liquor license spreadsheet, they can't do it. Or we'll ask them to draft a letter and they're not capable of doing it. So it's been a little bit, a lot of the people who are coming in are more coding kinds of people who are able to do coding. I had 2 young people who would have been phenomenal, but they could only work 3 days a week. I was at the point I was even considering hiring for just the 3 days a week because they were competent. But at the end of the day, I figured I would pursue trying to find the full 5 days.
So
Okay.
it would be good to know what the roles and responsibilities are of everybody in the office, because it's not clear.
It's on the help wanted ad for the 2 employees. They
No,
have
but
the exact same responsibilities.
It's the same, and
And
that doesn't mean we
one
know.
does liquor license, one does the cannabis license. When the 3rd one comes in, they'll be given the DOT license. Everybody answers the phone. Everybody puts in 311s, the staff. Everybody does the agendas. Everybody does the copies. Everybody stuffs we don't stuff envelopes anymore. Not envelopes, folders. Everybody does the copies for the full board meetings.
Who maintains the calendar? Who updates?
Anthony
Anyway, we can
maintains
talk about
my
that
calendar.
separately. We don't need to talk about
I
that.
maintain the board calendar and Anthony maintains my calendar.
Isn't it that, the way you are saying that, that in December, if by the December, if we don't use that fund, it's going to go back? That's what I understand.
No, it doesn't go back. I mean, the money every year, the budget is the same. even if we give taxpayer dollars back, we still get the same amount of money. The thing is that I run more conservatively and this committee is more aggressive in spending money. I am careful about how much I spend. I'm careful about how quickly I spend it. Last year, we had 3 separate budget cuts where we had to allocate money that was going to be given back. So I'm more cautious than most. Usually in January, I'm able to spend down whatever's left in the budget due to the fact I had a negative health report in September. And then in October, I broke my foot. I was on medical leave for 4 months and we had not hired somebody. And then when Evie came on board, we pursued hiring somebody vigorously. Had I not pursued hiring somebody vigorously, I would have spent the money. But because I was pursuing hiring somebody, I did not spend the money. Because if
Okay.
somebody were to be hired, we wouldn't have had the funds to pay them.
All right.
Again, this is where you do a budget projection and you project how much you're going to need.
We've never
When
run
you
into
hire
this
someone.
we've never run into this kind of a problem in the past, Debbie. And again,
I don't
I'm not
know.
familiar.
I
I'm
can
not
only observe from
familiar.
like me coming in and knowing that there was a vacancy and trying to figure out how much. That was one of the first questions that I asked. What is the vacancy accrual amount going to be, and how are we going to spend that money if we don't hire someone?
We don't
Get it done.
operate the way that you're speaking in this office in the past. We are trying to accommodate your projections and committee reports and all of this. I'm ready, willing, and able to work with the new way, but you have to understand this is a learning curve for me. This is not how other district managers have done it in the past. They give reports, the board says okay, and it's over and done with. I'm trying to facilitate you by doing it the way that you seek, but you have to bear with me because this was never done before.
Okay. Amy?
1 second. I have another request to everyone.
I mean, I gotta go to the committee though, so
All right,
this
sure.
is really a committee meeting, so technically I gotta make sure the committee members are gonna be asking their questions.
I'll be quick.
Yeah.
Now, Florence, you mentioned that there have been budget cuts and, you mentioned it 3 times last year. Were these cuts shown? I mean, other than reallocating into the different codes, like, is there a way to show where the cuts were, how you made up for it? What was the total amount of cuts? Like, we
No.
need to be able to prepare for any oncoming cuts you may be
That's not how it
proposing.
works.
Okay.
That's not how it works. Okay. Tomorrow, the mayor can go on TV and he can say there's going to be a 3.5% budget cut. Then 2 months later, he can come back and say there's going to be another 2% budget cut. And when that happens, you have to look at where you have your money seated. And most times, all the district managers will come together, will write a letter to the mayor's office trying to argue it so that, because we are the smallest of all the agencies. We have the smallest of the budgets of all of the agencies. Some of us don't have the money to give back. Last year, there were a couple of community boards that would have actually had to lay off people. What ended up happening was they did reverse the budget cuts, so they never actually happened.
So that's why you had a surplus that could be going back to.
Yes, and the fact that I had 2 people leave service, one left and the other one.
Understood. I think we would just, if there's a way for tracking, the cuts and how it impacts our budget.
There's no way of tracking the cuts.
Quarterly, if we can. If we cannot, typically, anybody running a business would be reforecasting based on budget cuts, right? So that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, it's so fungible that there's no sense of where the cuts are coming from, when, how it impacts operations, and then not being able to project to the end of the year. So I think there's concern there.
Yeah, no, it's the city does not operate the way private industry or 401ks or not-for-profits operate. The city has no rhyme or reason for a lot of the things that they do. It's different where when you're with a group where you're going to the city and asking for money and then being allocated the money and having to prove that you've spent it, whereas we receive the money and we're expected to spend it. However, in a hostile money environment where you don't know from day to day what the mayor's office is going to do, you're going to me, you're going to run a more conservative checkbook. You're going to be more responsible. And let's not forget, this is not our money. This is the taxpayer dollars. We have a responsibility to the people as we spend this money, how we spend this money.
That's why
So
we're reviewing it.
And
That's exactly
so I have no qualms that if an incident happens where we're down 2 employees and I broke my leg, that I accidentally wasn't able to spend it down, giving the taxpayer money back isn't a bad thing, because next year we'll spend what we spend. The norm give back is around $10,000, $11,000. It's not usually around that kind of money. But I mean, if there was any compassion, you would understand the circumstances.
Marie, and then I kind of actually want to get back to the budget real quick.
No, I'm-
And then also
I'm
see,
I just want to put it out there. Is it fair to say, or is it correct to say, that we have $70,000 approximately in that code 2000
Yes.
that could conceivably be used if there's a budget cut?
Yes. So here is how it works. If there were to be a budget cut, let's say we had a 10% budget cut and we didn't have enough money to pay for Harish Studios and vendors and such. What would happen is we would be able to use code 2000. We would be able to move the money from OTPS, the regular OTPS,
Yes, okay.
up to PS. We would be able to take code 2000, put it into the proper code 684, and would be paid code 2000 684 Harish Studios. And that money
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there that we
not
have a
pay payroll.
$70,000 cushion,
Yeah.
more or less, right now.
One of the few
All right.
boards that has that. I don't know that any other board in Queens has that.
But we have it. So
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there so we all know that. Thanks, Florence.
okay, so last year when the budget was adopted, we had $46,270 for OTPS. So are you
That's
telling
what
me?
I spent at the end of the year. I took money out of PS.
No, I'm looking at adopted budget.
I don't believe you're correct. I would have to
Okay.
see the documents. It doesn't sound right.
I mean, I'll show you. It's the document that you sent. That's why I'm saying I was informed that this year's OTPS budget is roughly that same amount, not
I got
22,000.
this from the city. This is what they gave me. This is what I'm working off of with 228 around there, say 229 100,000 round
So-
numbers.
So you're saying there was no other money when the budget was adopted?
Not that I know
OTPS.
of. I was not informed of that. What I am giving you is what the city gave me. What I have here is what I received.
Okay, but earlier you also said there is more money to spend in OTPS. I don't really know.
What
if
I
I'm
said,
clear what
please
that number
listen
is.
to me clearly. You remove the money from PS and bring it down to OTPS to spend it. So if I needed to buy, if the fax machine broke and I needed a new fax machine and it was
I
$2,000.
understand that. No, I understand how you can move money, but what I'm saying is when the city adopts their budget, there's a certain amount for personnel and a certain amount for OTPS. And that money can get moved around, like you're saying.
Yes, and it was moved around and put into each of these codes, and it was 2 whatever you see at the bottom.
Okay.
That's why I don't understand what you're talking about. The 49 could have been at the end of last year, the total spending.
No, I'm
That's
just looking at
what
what says
you're-
adopted budget. That's what I'm going by.
I don't know whose budget you're looking at.
It's the document that you gave me. But anyway, okay. Tom and then Marie, and then
Are
also
you
I just
looking
want-
at, are you
Guys,
looking at
guys.
2020? Are you looking at 2024's close?
Yes, that's what I said, in the 2024 budget.
I will tell you again.
No,
that
it's okay. It's
all
okay.
the money that was spent throughout 2024. That is not how much was in there. That is all the money in 2024 that was put into OTPS. Some of it came from PS, was migrated down to OTPS, and was spent. I've been saying the same thing straight through.
I'm just saying
You're
it says
explaining, yeah, but you're
adopted.
explaining it
Guys,
inappropriately.
I have to
It was
intercede
not
here.
the money at the beginning of the fiscal year. That's the money at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, then I'm just wondering why it says adopted budget, but I can ask Borough Hall for clarification on
I'm
that.
telling you why. That was
Guys,
at the end
please.
of the budget year. That was all the money adopted and
Gotta
spent
go.
at the end
Okay.
of the fiscal year 24.
Okay, Tom,
Guys, we're just spinning our wheels here. It's already
Okay.
almost 8 o'clock. Last year's thing is done, over and done. It's done. So let's not talk about it. We've got a budget now. We got figures now. We watch it each month. We may change accordingly to we hire somebody, we do something, and we do it on a monthly basis, so we're on track with it. And when if the budget mod comes in or city agent cuts, we adjust it right there and then. We're discussing. I mean, it's just very not very efficient right now.
This is not normal.
Guys, stop
gets in the weeds.
talking. I don't want to
Okay.
hear excuses anymore. I don't want to hear just about talking. My type of business is everybody else here. We have numbers and we monitor them carefully. We hire that person and we monitor and we budget mod when and if a city cut comes in, whether we hire someone halfway through the year or whatever it is.
correct.
We're just spinning our wheels. The
Okay,
thing is to address this regularly.
okay. Any other questions?
All right.
Okay, are there any other items that board members want to suggest for the budget? Committee members? Because we can also give input into items as well. Okay, Liz, then Marie, then Tom. I don't know if your hand is still up or you
No.
just forgot to put it down. Okay, Liz.
Yes. I'm very surprised to see that there was such a large sum that I didn't know about. I would like to suggest that we entertain the thought of using a zoning or planning consultant to do some of the analysis for the proposals that are coming down the line. We now have creeping into Dutch Kills, R10s, very high intensity, dense developments. And we need a plan. We need to know what we feel is correct, what the community feels is correct, and also join it together with what the city is trying to do with respect to developing new housing. I've spoken to a consultant to get an estimate of, to get an idea of what they do, how they do it, and how much it would cost. And they're going to get back to me on that. But I would like to I'd like to start the discussion that this gets put into the budget this year. We have not only the Long Island City issue to deal with, which we could hook up Ravenswood to, but we also have Northern Boulevard with that swath of practically vacant, undeveloped land on the south side, which I can't even conceive of how many hundreds of thousands of square feet of development is going to be proposed for that. And it's going to come to us under ULURP because it is it's privately owned, and it will, and it requires rezoning. It's an M zone. It's a manufacturing zone. So we need to get our act together with respect to what we would like the community to be looking like in the next generation, the next 20 years, 25 years, because this is going to happen soon. So I don't have figures for you, but I do know that the very minimum is going to be, you know, 4 figures. So when I get that information, I will get back to you on it. And it won't be just one person. I'll get a number of people, number of consultants. I'll look into their backgrounds, et cetera, to see if it's a good fit. But this particular person I spoke to is very much, this company is very oriented towards community planning and having the plan come from the community itself and not imposed on us. So I would just like to put that out there for the future budgets. And with respect to this budget, I think a lot of the issues can be cleared up if we have, if the exec board has a monthly running toll of what the expenditures are by the codes or by categories. And it'll save a lot of problems at the end of the fiscal year. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you. Any committee members have thoughts about Liz's request?
I am totally in favor of getting a consultant for our zoning work. There's a lot coming down, and, you know, with so much material to look at all the time, it's really daunting. And Liz, I mean, I don't know how you've been doing it for so long, and I think, you know, we can all probably benefit from both you and another pair of eyes kind of helping with a lot of these rezonings.
Marie?
I agree. I mean, I don't know the cost of such a person. Might be a factor. But certainly, even if it doesn't fit into the budget, there is the other street fair pot of money. It maybe could be taken out of that.
Yeah, just
That
let me
free
point
fair
out,
money is
just
for
let me,
operations.
just Mayor, I would like to point out that this is not something that's new. There are community boards in Brooklyn and Manhattan and the Bronx that do this, that secure services, because they too don't have the time nor the expertise. And at this point, with all that's coming down and all that has to be done in order to get it done right for the committee, I don't have the time to put into this. I need something to be done on a professional basis. And we need to maintain some kind of rapport with city planning in that some things are just not imposed on us. We've been asking and asking and asking, and we've been ignored for whatever their reason is. It may be legitimate with respect to money, with respect to personnel, with respect to, you know, administration, imperatives that come down to them. Whatever the reason is, we're just not getting the same attention that we need from the professionals. And I think we need to stand up on our own and come back and have something for them to react to, not just accept whatever they propose. I'm very upset about the high the density that they're proposing for Dutch Kills at this point. So, but anyway.
Well, I agreed with you, Liz. I want to make that clear. I agree. I don't know anybody else on the committee here who would like to voice their opinion.
Yeah, this is not a framework. This is a zoning proposal that they're talking about.
Correct.
You know, this is almost if he's still in office, it's almost a fait accompli that this is what they're talking about for Long Island City, for our section of Long Island City. So we need to be prepared. We need to be bolstered by what the professionals can offer.
Tom, you have your hand up.
You're on mute, Tom.
You're still on mute, Tom. I don't know why.
I want to hire someone to help.
There we go.
All right. No, that's important. And these are things we can start thinking about now, but modifying the budget. We have a cushion of money. Let's get it in place. And talking
Yeah.
about it's great. And I think it's a great idea and everything, but
Yeah.
Liz, get the cost together. I'm sure we can afford something, which is better than having nothing, and go from there. But again, sooner than later. So
Yeah.
And we should be getting like Liz said, a monthly report so we can continually track our expenditures and or status with hiring or budget mods or hiring capabilities, etc. So we can.
And I agree. I think it's very, very important because that does take up a lot of our work as a community board, and it is complex. And if I heard correctly, we weren't going to be spending some money for things like water, and there was another service that we weren't going to do anymore because we went to the cloud. And I think those are still in this year's budget as placeholders. So I'm
It equals
sure even with what we
$1,000,
have-
Madam Chair. It equals $1,000.
Hmm?
It equals approximately $1,000, Madam Chair.
No, I understand, but there's I'm just saying there's some things in there right now that we know we're not gonna spend from what you had indicated earlier. So we can kind of look at that. And again, I think there's additional room in the budget, but I think it is really important. So, okay, were there any other thoughts? Okay. All right, so
Can I
sorry,
pitch
Evie, I have
into this
another question.
conversation? Can I pitch into this conversation?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, go
first?
ahead,
I
Marie.
just want to get this budget over with.
Mhm.
Farmers, I'm asking about the street fair. Is it how long, is it every year? Is it automatic for a
Marie,
few
you
years?
know this. You've been the chair. You know, you've been here from before.
I
You
know that, but
every single
what I'm
year.
asking now, is it every year, is it the same amount of money?
No, you know that too.
Well-
You know from the bid. I mean, one year if it rains, it could be
Right,
$1,000.
exactly, but let's
And
not
then the
talk
next year
rain.
it could
Let's
be
not talk rain.
4,000.
Guys,
It's about 4,000. Right?
Tom, we're speaking, please. Yes.
Okay.
It's 3,000.
Okay, I just,
This year, I think we were, what was it? Hold a second, I'll tell you. This year, I think we did better than most years. This year
okay, I
was
just want to know, so technically
500.
that fund could grow in the
Well,
past,
see, the
in the next,
thing is that quite honestly, if you guys didn't want me to hire somebody and use the annual money, because that money is a cushion. If anything bad ever happens, the board as a unit has that money to operate. That's the only fund that rolls over every single year as a CD or a savings code. So if you said to me, listen, Liz wants to hire this person, the land use committee thinks this is a great move, let's do it. There are several glitches here which I wanted to jump into. First off, if it's over $20,000 for this individual, we
Okay,
have
we're
to
not
vote.
there yet. We don't know
Well,
how
when
much
you
it
share
is.
this, Liz needs to know this.
She said it would be four figures, in the four figures. So she
And they
wasn't
also have to
talking
be
five.
they have to be city vendors, they have to have a city vendor ID number.
Yeah, I think the person that she was talking to, she said, was used by other community boards as well. So I'm sure, obviously we would use someone that's going to be approved and vetted, through the city vendor process. So
Like the
let's
company.
just get the information from her first, and then we'll see how much it is. And again, it seems like there's flexibility. There's some stuff that we might not be spending money on from what you had said earlier.
Well, if you don't want me to hire
you had
somebody.
said that you'd spent some of that street fair fund in the past. So
Yeah, but I'm talking a few $100s. I'm talking,
I don't know.
600, 700, small amounts, because you have to show that you're using it a little bit to keep the code active. You can't let the code go dormant. But I'm just putting it out there. If you guys tell me don't hire, I'll.
No, we didn't say that. So we didn't say that. We didn't say don't hire. We just said we want to consider this, what that Liz brought forward. She's going to get more information. And then we should be able to find room for that. So
I'm sure
no
we
one
can
said,
find
no
room.
one said don't hire Florence, okay?
Now,
Okay. Tom,
Jesus Christ.
as I say, so again, the budget is, Liz comes back with a number and we say, great. Liz comes back, we say, that's too much. We find a number we can afford.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about $1 gazillion. We have a cushion here. We're getting petty with this. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a budget and budget changes. We change it monthly. So please.
okay. Any other, it's late, it's 8:05. So if there's any other questions, follow-up that you want, thoughts, now's the time. You can also shoot me an email after if you'd like.
So I have
Um,
questions about the executive session that occurred.
What's your question?
Well, in July, I was given instructions. I've been working with those instructions. I was asked for a calendar. I provided the calendar. I've done everything that's been asked. I'm the only district manager in Queens that's been put up against the wall regarding my time and my actions. And I haven't done anything in my career that would warrant this. I'm just asking for a reasonable and fair accommodation. I don't understand why there's been no discussion. It went to committee. It went to the extent of going to executive board. And I mean, I worked through sick leave, even though I checked out. I've done everything for this board, from running documents to people's homes, going to hospitals to visit people. I'm a very dedicated and loyal city servant. And here I am, put in a position where I didn't even know how much time I had until this arose, because I never focused on vacation. I focused on the work of the board. And out of the kindness of your hearts, I mean,
Okay,
this is my job and my livelihood.
Yeah, I
And if at least give me a reasonable accommodation. Saying in July for December is not a reasonable accommodation. And I gave you the timeline proving that I'm correct in my request. I honor you all. I respect you all, and I'm dedicated. After going through a near cancer scare, a broken leg, being out of work for 4 months, I've achieved so much for you. I got you guys on these virtual meetings without the voting so that we could continue to be safe and healthy. Look at the new spread of COVID now. Everybody's sick with this horrid.
okay, Florence, thank you.
Please, can
Marie,
you consider?
I already responded, and
But there was no
I've
dialogue.
already talked to
Why
Borough
am
Hall
I-
about it, and
Why am I
we're
the only
sticking to the
district
city
manager?
policy. We're adhering to the city policy.
The city policy, but
Marie, would you,
Please,
Florence, that's it.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I'm
Florence,
sorry.
you don't have the floor.
Madam Chair, please.
You don't, you do
Madam
not.
Chair.
Motion-
Marie.
Madam Chair,
Believe it.
every
I'm
other
sorry,
chair
Evie, Madam
entertains
Chair.
this.
I think this belongs in the executive session.
Sure. Would you like to make a motion for executive session?
Every chair does this letter.
I make a motion for an executive session.
Second.
Okay, can I have a vote? We need to vote at least 2, 3, 4.
Committee members.
I need to hear from Quinella. Okay, that's 5. Okay. Okay, that's enough. So just committee members? Is that what you're saying, Marie?
Isn't that executive session? Yes.
No, I mean, it can,
Yes.
okay,
So
all right.
the request is simply a reasonable accommodation to allow me enough
Okay,
time
we'll
to do
discuss
what
it.
you
Thank
want.
you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very
Okay.
much. I really do appreciate this.
Okay, so I'm gonna need everyone
need to leave?
who is not a committee member to leave the Zoom.
No, you mean the,
One
not an
moment, please,
executive?
Madam Chair. Marie Studios, you're gonna have to give Evie the
Yes, I know, I was about to say that. You can
chairmanship,
hand over
and
control. They've
we're
done
gonna
this
leave.
before.
And shut it off from YouTube.
Evie, you mean only the executive stays, that's right?
Yes, just the
Thank you.
committee, just the office budget committee.
Okay,
Thank
enjoy
you all
your
very
rest of
much.
the night. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate you.
Just give me
Okay.
1 second to end the YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask, could you release the, did you release the Yes, you did. Okay. No, I had the same thing that you had up on my screen, the budget, and I thought I was frozen. Sorry. Never mind.